So, a very warm welcome to you all. This is Carmen MacDougall of the Virtual Assistant Coaching and Training Company and also the VA Marketing Academy. Now, it's great to have you coming along to listen to this. You may be here for a variety of different reasons. Maybe you're listening to this now because you're currently employed as a PA or secretary or executive assistant, and you're thinking of making that transition and you're looking at launching perhaps in the next few months. Or maybe it's something that you're thinking about, and by listening to this, it will tell you a little bit more about whether this is actually the path you want to take. Or perhaps you're already starting on this journey. So you've already launched your VA business, and for whatever reason, maybe things are not quite working out for you, or you're realizing that there are a few gaps in the knowledge and tools that you need to have a successful VA business. So, what I'm going to be covering with you right now are the ultimate 7-step success system to launching and growing a VA business. So, your VA business. And each of the steps are steps that I teach other VAs and other people like yourself, but they are the steps that I took in my VA business. So, let me just very quickly tell you a little bit about myself. So, for those of you who haven't come across me before, I myself came from the corporate industry. I worked in London in the investment banking and the legal industry. My capacity was mostly as marketing assistant, PA, and office manager. I got made redundant 5 times. So by the fifth time I got made redundant, I thought, right, this is a sign to do something completely different. I actually come from a family where, on my mother's side, everyone runs their own business, very entrepreneurial. So I was almost the black sheep of the family, not running my own business. So I went ahead, and actually, funny enough, all my family said, no, don't do it. It's very stressful. You never know if you're going to get paid each month, and you never stop working. But of course, I carried on. Now, this was back in 1999. Now, when I got made redundant on the Friday, by the following Monday, I actually found out I was 2 months pregnant. So I really had to put my all into this. So I hired a coach because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to try and do it all myself, because I knew the scary bit about it was that there would be gaps. I knew that. Now, of course, I could have gone to my family for support, but they ran butcher shops and they were in the property industry. So the only person really who could give me advice at the time was my uncle, who was one of the first people to set up an internet marketing business and a call minding company over in the Philippines. So he gave me a lot of advice. And the key advice he gave me was network, build a network, a business community around you. And the reason for that will be covered later on in this session. I'll be expanding on that. And secondly, be known as the go-to person for something specific. So what's going to be your specialist skill? And thirdly, and one other was have a niche market. So be really clear who it is you wanted to work with. Now, I was a little bit worried at the time because I thought if I narrow my market down, I'm going to lose out on opportunities and limit my opportunities and my income. Actually, that wasn't the case at all. So I set up the VA business. I brought on board 2 associates who I trained. So it was my first experience of training. I then took over what was at the time the VA Mastery course, which I later on developed based on the success of my own business. Within a very short space of time, I had matched the salary of my London job back in the past. And it wasn't always easy. I had my ups and downs. I made loads of mistakes. But the one thing I was so glad I invested in was my business coach, because she literally saved my bacon. She wasn't experienced in the V industry because it was something that was very new. And she helped me to develop my niche market in the coaching industry. So I really took a huge risk. It was quite scary because I was starting in an industry that nobody really had heard of. In America, they had. Obviously, they're already 5 years ahead of us. But also, I was choosing a niche market that really was just in the baby stages in the UK. And everyone said, "You are crazy, Carmen. What on earth are you doing?" But I just followed my gut. So the one thing I want to just say right now to you is whatever your gut feeling is, go with it. Because when I have gone against my gut feeling, it's turned out a disaster. And that's when I've realized I've made the wrong decision. Um, So I sold the VA business because my clients actually said, Carmen, you'd be great as a coach. So I trained with the UK College of Life Coaching, which has since been taken over by the Coaching Academy. And what was interesting was that people will then come to me asking, how can I become a VA? So I developed the V Mastery course. I had a flood of people coming in from all over the world. So to date, I've trained over 1,500 PAs and secretaries to make that transition. And I've mentored a lot of VAs as well who had already set up. In 2007, I launched the first ever National VA Conference and Awards because I thought it would be really good if we can get more recognition and raise the profile of VAs and recognition for VAs who had made a huge difference to their clients. So the lovely thing was that with an independent judging panel, they chose mostly the people that I had trained to win the award. So that was really lovely to witness that. It made me feel very proud. And my clients are all like my family, actually, so which is lovely. Then I started another VA business, and that was purely to be able to give the people who I was training on the VA Mastery course to be able to have some work experience. So they were like my associates, so I had that. Now, I did sell that back in 2011, and that was partly due to personal reasons. My husband had become very ill, and I had my third child. So, I don't do things by halves. However, the coaching and training business has carried on and has become one of the strongest companies. Certainly, I'm very lucky that I have a lot of recommendations from key people who are strategic partners of mine as well. People like Be My VA, Lucy Brazier, who runs the Executive Secretary magazine, who both of us actually launched the VA magazine, which is now changing. And in fact, Be My VA are now the new owners of the VA conference, which is really exciting. So look out for details on that. On Twitter, do look at VA conference for more details. So you can find out about that. And so my journey has been quite an interesting one. I have had my ups and downs. During the recession, my business did take a little bit of a dip. That was partly because I had some negative experiences with some associates, and it slightly affected the business and my motivation. And so I had to really reinvent myself and relaunch the business. So, I don't want to be sitting here telling you a perfect story because I have had my ups and downs. And that's something you're going to have to, I suppose, in a way, expect. It's not a perfect journey. Even people like James Caan and Richard Branson have all had those hairy moments. Sometimes you'll think, what on earth am I doing? Am I mad? There's something new that I'm embarking upon very soon. And even the other day, I was telling one of my clients this evening, actually, on Facebook, thinking it's actually quite scary, and I've been in business for over 14 years. I still get scared. So the reality is you're going to be taking risks, and you have to be the type of person that's happy to take a risk. You're going to be making a transition away from your comfort zone, and you're coming into what I call your adventure zone. However, the one thing that you have got, which I did not have when I first started out in my VA business over 14 years ago, is there is the evidence around you. You just look at how many VAs there are out there in America, in the UK, and also in Australia. It's a very popular career as well. And there's a demand. And the one thing I would say to you is if the demand was not there, VAs would not be existing either. Okay, so you have got the evidence. You look around you, and there is plenty of opportunity for you right now. And in fact, now's a great time to come into the industry. So let me cover with you now some of these 7 steps. So you can start to follow these, and you can put some things into action and see where your journey takes you. Now, I'm not telling you this is the hard and fast rule and that if you do something different, you're going to fail. All I'm saying to you right now is this is what helped my business to become very successful. And this is what has helped many of my clients to be very successful as well. And when you're looking to someone maybe to mentor or support you, they are there to guide you and share their mistakes, to share their successes, to share their journey. And actually, it means your journey is a more successful one and one that has fewer mistakes, and you get there far quicker. So it's far better to learn from someone else who's been there and done it rather than feel in the dark and do it all on your own. So, step 1, your vision. This is the start of your business strategy. It's a very important one. And unfortunately, this is something that a lot of people skip, which is not a good idea at all. Now, your vision. A lot of people have said to me, I find it really difficult to think of what it is I want in the future because I don't know what I'll be offering. I don't know the type of clients I'll be working with. I don't know what I'll be charging. I don't know where I'll be in 5 years' time. What I want you to do right now is to put all of that one side if that's something that you're concerned about. This is about you creating your wish list. If you want to achieve something very specific, then you need to know where you are going. So it's a little bit like a journey. And this is a journey, in fact. But let's say I said to you, right, let's meet up in London on the 4th of February at 11 o'clock. So you know that you need to meet me in London, but we'll be more specific than that. Let's say we'll meet at the Great Northern Hotel in King's Cross, and I'll meet you within the lounge area, the coffee lounge area. So you know that in a few weeks' time, you've got a very specific destination you need to get to, you've got a specific time, so you can start to plan your journey. If I said to you, let's meet in London sometime, where are you going to meet? How are you going to plan your journey? Can you see that? So therefore, with your business, if you do not have a specific end result you want to achieve, how on earth can you then create your strategy, your business plan, your goals, the actions you need to do in order to get there? And this is actually one of the reasons why, believe it or not, this is a really high percentage, which in itself is not good. 95% of businesses that start up fail. And the common reason is they do not have a strategy or an end result. So this is the one thing I want to really urge you. This is probably the most important part actually of you starting a business is know what you want. Now this is not all about your business. This is about your life as well because you have maybe a social life, you've got a family, you've got friends, maybe you've got a religion and you're spiritual, maybe you love personal development, maybe you're married, whatever is involved in your life, your business is just one segment of that. So some of you may have seen the wheel of life, for instance. So money is involved in that as well. So think about, in an ideal world, knowing that anything is possible and how you're going to get there right now isn't something you have to be concerned about. What is it you would really love? So let's take a day in the life of a VA, maybe your business in 5 years' time. So what time is it? Let's say it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and maybe you've taken the children off to school and you're feeling really, really excited because you're celebrating 5 years in your business. You've actually got a meeting with 4 of your clients who are some of your key clients that you're meeting up for lunch today to celebrate your 5th anniversary. And they have been a great support to you over the last 5 years. In fact, they have been there from day one. You've actually got 10 clients on board, but 5 key clients that you work with. The other 5, you've got your associate VA supporting you. You're bringing in £3,500 a month, but you've also got some new products that you're creating. In fact, you've started doing some training and are offering some online training. So that's now about to help boost your income. You've been able to afford together, maybe with your partner, a new house that you always wanted, which was made available because of the business that you've had the success with from a financial point of view. You've been able to go on some really amazing holidays that you never thought possible in the past, but you made sure they were part of your vision and it happened because you were very focused on your action to get there. You have bought yourself a new car because this is something you set out to achieve as part of your 5-year vision, and you're just picking it up after you have your lunch with your clients. Your clients are amazing. You love working with them. They get you to do all the things that you actually love doing because anything else you haven't enjoyed doing, you've been passing that over to your associate VAs. And your clients actually see you more of a business partner rather than their support VA. They love working with you. They love the fact that you're really proactive and you care about them. You care about their business. Your customer service is excellent. And from time to time, one of your clients has actually given you a bonus because you have made such an impact with their business. Your working pattern, you work 4 days a week because on a Friday you take that off and you spend some quality time with your loved ones. And from time to time, you'll maybe meet friends for lunch or maybe even colleagues for lunch. And you've even been to the odd spa now and again, which you sort of chuckle to yourself. You think, oh, I can't believe that I've actually made this happen. Your whole being, you feel much more confident about life. You feel confident about yourself. You have been really focused on the person you are. You feel very proud of what you've achieved. You've developed some qualifications and you've become CPD accredited and you've become sought after because you realized what you really loved doing and you've made that the focus of your business. So you, as I said, you only work part-time. You do school hours because you've got children that you're collecting after school, and it's lovely to be able to spend that quality time with them. And you don't work in the evenings, you don't work at the weekends. You've really got that work-life balance. And you've managed to create a really good savings account for you and your family because your plan is now in the next few years to look at slowing down with the business, maybe even selling the business so that you can retire and maybe even earn a passive income from the business as a silent partner. So anyway, you're just off to lunch now and you're going to be celebrating with your clients. And in fact, you've got a very short meeting with one of your clients afterwards because they're looking at you becoming a strategic partner on their business. So that's in a way how I want you to be describing your ideal day in a few years' time. So you've got a vision. Now, when you're listening to that, did that feel real to you? Now, if you notice, I was talking about things that were happening. Yes, I talked about money. Now you might be thinking, actually, can I really earn 3,500? Can I earn more than that? Am I being greedy, wanting more than that? Actually, whatever it is you want to focus on achieving, put that down. Because who's to say you can't achieve that? And what you've got to remember is that income may not come just from you doing VA work. It may come from other things as well. The one thing I have to say, where I am, where I have ended up in my business has not been what I expected. It really hasn't. I never set out in my business thinking one day I want three businesses and to be training and, working in partnership with others. I never ever thought that. And even regardless of the fact that, my husband wasn't very well for the last 3 years, I've still been able to achieve quite a lot because I found a different way of making it happen that still fitted in with me and my family. So that's the other reason as well. When you've got something you really want and you've got a big why. I mean, my why is that I am able to retire from the business at a young age. I mean, I'm at the time of this now, I'm in my early 40s, dare I say it. And for me, it's about quality time, being able to travel and have the lifestyle that I want. Now, I've pretty much achieved a lot of that, although I haven't exited the business yet. So, for me, it's not all about money. It's about that quality time. It's about the personal things that money can't buy. And I know that the negative consequence of not achieving that would be terrible for me and my family. So when you're thinking about what you'd really want, ask yourself the question, if that never happened, how would that make me feel? What negative consequence would happen? Where would I not be? Would that mean I'd have to go back and get a job? Would I be stressed? Would I have to take time off? What would be that negative end result? So by you having a really clear and focused idea of what you want. Now, if you noticed in my little analogy there of a vision, it wasn't so detailed, it's quite loose, but I focused on how the person was feeling, the confidence, picking up a new car, the financial, working with clients. I didn't talk about doing diary management or anything like that. So by thinking of that end result, then you can work backwards and create some milestones of things that you know you need to achieve. However, the one thing I would say, you're not going to know everything you need to achieve. So again, this is where having guidance and maybe even mentoring or learning from other VAs even to help you to make sure that each of your milestones are realistic and to put them in place by setting your goals. Now, I am very into setting goals, but I'm also into going with the flow. I never used to be like that. In the past, I'd think, I've got to achieve this and it has to be done this way. And, if people cancel, meetings with me, I've got to force it to make it happen. But now it's a very different process for me now. I do go with the flow. I think about what it is I want to achieve and I just let it happen. Now, it may sound a bit woo woo to you, but it really does work. So, yes, have your set goals, but be very open to what can happen. Because actually, when you are open minded and you're passionate about what you do and you're excited, and you avoid allowing yourself to get worried about things and how it's going to happen, just let it happen. The opportunities do come in your direction. So, whoops. Step two, clarify your ideal client and your niche market. Now, this is something that lots of VAs actually struggle with. Actually, it's not just VAs who struggle with this, it's most people setting up a business. Now, what is a niche? Well, a niche is where all of your clients have something in common. Now, it could be that they're all from the same industry. So they're all from the coaching industry, or the buzzword now is the mumpreneur industry. However, you can chunk that down into more detail. So you may decide you want to work with mumpreneurs who are in their 40s and 50s, who've got maybe young children who want to really build their business, maybe even set up another business, but they're in the coaching world and their main focus is corporate coaching. So that's a little bit more detailed. Really, I would advise against saying that you work with entrepreneurs, small to medium business owners, and maybe micro businesses, because actually that's everybody. Now, why have a niche market? This is something that people don't always get at the beginning, but when they do, they suddenly have these light bulb moments. And in fact, I was running a mentoring session with some of my clients the other evening, and it was a case of not really being able to get the idea of a niche or ideal client because she felt she was limiting her opportunities. Actually, it's the opposite. It feels very unnatural to focus on just one type of client. However, what that means is you become known as the go to person for a particular industry. You can start to develop specialist skills later on. This is not something you have to get all in one go, but you can start to develop some really specialist skills, which means that whatever the trends of that industry of your clients are, you can match that. You can serve your clients because you've got the right skills. You're keeping ahead of the game. And the niche could be the legal industry, the medical industry, the insurance industry. I mean, the list is endless. Now, if you're struggling to think of a niche market, think about this. Where have you already got experience? Because where you've already got experience in a particular industry from the employed world, you've got credibility, you've got experience, and you've got your contacts. Now, for me, I didn't want to work with investment bankers and the legal industry. And in fact, at the time, there were a lot of barriers up because of confidentiality and what have you, working on a virtual basis. The reason I chose the coaching industry is because in my gut, this was going to be an industry that was going to grow, and it has. I mean, we all know a coach, don't we? And I also was very inspired by coaches. I thought, my ideal client, if I'm describing them as a person at the time, was someone who was very focused on their business. They were maybe a mother or a father, and they loved, and their focus was on helping people. It wasn't all about money. They were people that were passionate about what they did. They worked well with me. They valued my service. That was my main focus. And then, even though I chose the coaching industry, I chose business coaches and also executive corporate coaches. And the thing there, then, what happened, the reason it grows so much was that people, as they always do, they spoke within their coaching groups, and people would say, I'm really struggling with X, Y, Z. And they say, oh, well, you need to speak to Carmen because, as a result of working with her, it's meant this result in my business has been achieved. So, of course, when others see other people in their industry achieve something, they'll ask, how did you do it? They'll say, well, it's because I worked smartly on my business with the support of Carmen. And if you go to a networking meeting, as I have done, for many years, I'll go along to a networking meeting, and as I often do, they'll say, "Well, look, I'm looking for a VA, but ideally, I want someone who understands the insurance industry." So I will know there's a number of VAs I've trained who will fit into that category. Now, just because you have an ideal niche market it doesn't mean then the person is ideal. So this is where you chunk it down in more detail. In fact, you can actually start off with this particular exercise, and it's called creating an avatar. Okay, you may have already heard of this process. So creating an avatar is where you actually think of a person you'd love to work with. So this is where you make them up. It's a bit like going on to, if you can imagine, a VA match.com. I've never been on these sites, I have to say, but I would imagine that you type in the person that is most ideally matched to you with the same interests and values, perhaps. So you might be thinking, right, well, I would love to attract, my ideal client would be someone who's in her early 40s. She's already very established in her business and she values outsourcing because she sees that that's a crucial investment for her business if it's going to continue to grow. She's looking at developing another business and she's starting to write programs for that. So she's really excited about it. She has 3 young children from nursery age up till 10 years old. So it's really important for her that the business does not take over her life. She is married and her husband has a professional career, and together they go on 3 holidays a year. They love skiing, so that's one of the things they love doing. And then they've got a holiday home in the south of France. The income is 70,000 turnover a year, and so her profit is part of that, around 2,500. But with her new plans in place, that will significantly double, and in fact, maybe even treble. She sees you more as a business partner and she feels very comfortable you making decisions when she's not there. And that's one of the reasons why she chose you. She loves reading personal development and business development books. She's a very spiritual person. So she'll follow people like William Whitecloud because they have a message that really resonates. She will go on personal development workshops, but it all depends on timing because she's very careful of her really precious time with her family. She loves reading Woman and Home magazine and Psychologies magazine because, that for her is reading about other people who are like her. She does network. She goes to networking groups where there are people who are already established in business like herself because she feels then they're more of a dream team. They understand the challenges and the support that is needed of a business owner for people who are established. She's a regular speaker, but she's really trying to focus more on online speaking. So again, she's not having to spend her time away from the family, traveling an awful lot. So that could be your avatar, and you could call that person Charlotte. So this is Charlotte that I've just described. So start off with that. And then when you've decided on then the actual industry that Charlotte might be in, then you can start to do some research. You can start to research what they need, what they might be struggling with, so that you can start to put together the service that will really help them. So you're creating your product. It means as well that when you're marketing, it becomes easier. You can create a very succinct message. So whether they're reading your website or they're hearing you present or they're listening to you talk at the end of the phone because they've made an inquiry, whatever you tell them will really resonate with them. Now, in terms of social media, looking at Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, because she's got a family, she might be on social media during the day, but she might wait till the children have gone to bed, and she might be on Facebook in the evening. Maybe she might not do Facebook. She'll be on LinkedIn and a member of particular groups. So wherever this person is going to be, you also need to be. So if you're writing a feature, you'd want the feature to be in Psychologies or Women and Home magazine. If you're going to be doing updates, you might want to do it purely on LinkedIn. You want to be discussing various different things on the LinkedIn groups that she's a member of. Now, this would not be possible if you worked with everybody because you would literally be exhausted and it would cost you your time and money. You've got to remember that an hour of your time is worth something to your business. If you're wasting it, you're draining the resources and your business will not make a profit. So this is a really important part. Now, this may be something that you realize later on. So look at who you feel attracted to, who you feel connected to. Look at who you start taking on board as clients. What seems to be the common theme? And ask people, why did you choose me as your VA? So through your early stages of research and just looking at who you're attracting, then from that point, you might then choose who your niche market is. But when you do, you'll notice a significant positive impact on your business and your profits. So step 3, how to create the compelling marketing message to position yourself as an expert VA. So this is when you start to think about what to actually say to people. Okay. So, first of all, what is a marketing message? It's something that tells people that you are the right person to support them, that you resonate with what they're struggling with, what they want to achieve, and it gives a very clear message of what you do, as opposed to what you don't do, and who your ideal client is. Now, if you look at websites such as Asda, there'll be a particular way that they talk on there. Even from the fonts that they use, the language that they use, it will be speaking to a particular type of person. Whereas if you go onto the Waitrose website, it will have a completely different message altogether. Even to do with the colours, the positioning of the images and the images that they use, the wording that they use, the language, it will all be very different. But it tells a different story. They're both supermarkets, but they both tell a different story. So you've got to think what story you want to get across. Now, the way to start off with that is to find out what is it that people want to know about you. So they'll be thinking various different things. Why do I need a VA? What's in it for me? Why should I be paying X amount to this VA? What am I going to get out of it? Now, the biggest mistake that many VAs make when they're putting together their marketing message, which could be part of their website or through social media, through their newsletter, and they constantly put across something like, I can do your diary management for you, I can help you to save time and money. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. However, when you then tell people you charge £30 an hour, they'll think, what, to do my diary management for me? Oh, surely it's going to be cheaper to do it myself. They don't get it. So you've got to start thinking about, and especially in terms of getting the benefits of what you do and looking at what's unique about you, your unique selling point, you need to think about that ideal client. So if we go back to Charlotte, okay, she's got a limited amount of time every day to really focus on the key activities that will drive her business forward. So what does she need to stop doing? Whatever she stops doing, she'll be able to start taking her business forward. So what sort of results will she achieve? So, when you're looking at this model, you want to find out, and this could be something you do through research, speaking to people, asking for introductions, or even people that you already know. What is it that you want to achieve? What's stopping you from getting there? When you arrive at your desk every morning, what makes you feel drained? What's taking your passion away from your business? And whatever is taking their attention away from their business and their passion is where you come in. Because actually, by them trying to do it all themselves, they are actually themselves draining the resources and opportunities for their own business. If someone is worth, let's say, £100 an hour and they're doing their own diary management, they're paying themselves £100 an hour to do diary management. That's ludicrous, isn't it? However, they don't see it in that way. But that money is not literally going into their bank account. So in that 1 hour, they could have been focusing on something else, like a one-to-one with a contact, which could lead into a business opportunity. So what you want to get across as part of your message is not what you do in terms of the admin side. It's really resonating with people. It's asking, can you resonate with this? Is this you? And you're talking about all the things that they're struggling with, the pain points in their business. And then you talk about getting them to think about the ideal outcome they want to achieve, those results, like I did with you at the beginning, looking at your vision, what they need to start doing, what they need to stop doing. And how would life be like for them? How would their business be if they were to focus on those key activities to drive their business forward in this new way? So these are the benefits of your services. Now, of course, a lot of VAs will say that the benefits of using a VA include you only pay for the time that I do the work. You're not paying for an office or equipment or training. You literally, that's it. They're the features though, they are not the benefits. Yes, it's benefiting because you're not having to employ somebody. And yes, it's great not having to provide an office for somebody, but actually it's a lot more than that. So what I want you to think about is what is unique about you. Now, I have to say, with so many VAs and PAs I've come across, when I ask them what's special about you, what's different, they say, well, nothing really. There is. Look at your experience in your employment. What have you done to develop your career? What have you learnt? Have you maybe been involved in a particular project that enabled you to realize your potential? Where have you made a difference? Who are you connected to? What is your passion? What are you really good at? There is nobody like you. Like there's nobody like me, there's nobody like you. And there will be something unique about you, even though you may not be able to think of it right now, but maybe other people can tell you. So even though, yes, the benefits are helping you to focus on getting your end result, there's going to be something about you that will be unique. So some of the things that people tell me is that I've got a way about me that makes people feel at ease and very comfortable. And I think that's very important when you're a trainer, especially when you're making a big leap into something new. Also, what makes me unique is my own experience. There's nobody else who's got my specific experience and what I've innovated and launched it throughout my career. What is it about you? Maybe it's your personality, because people buy people. Now, you might be listening to this thinking, nah, Karma's not the sort of person I could really connect with. That's absolutely fine. I'm not going to be offended by that. You know, if we were all exactly the same, then at that point, there'll be competition. So, what makes you unique? Step 4, master the art of sales of your VA business. Now, this is something that, so many people say, I hate selling, I'm not good at selling. But then I ask them, where have you had to sell to enable you to come up with a conclusion you're not good at selling? And quite often, they have not had that experience. Maybe it's the thought of selling. I know, I even thought this myself. I don't like being sold to. I don't like someone being pushy with me. And actually, these days, selling is not about knocking on people's doors or cold calling or anything like that, because actually, that does not work. It does not work. First of all, you have to change your whole mindset about sales and selling. Okay. If you did not sell your services, and selling is actually not marketing. You've got marketing, which is about creating awareness. Selling is actually identifying a need that someone else has and putting across awareness of how you can fulfill that need and what the investment is attached to that. You have to sell. If you do not sell, then you're not going to get clients on board and you're not going to get an income. So you have to sell. However, change your whole mindset about this. If you think about this, people buy people, as I already said. Look at your buying habits. So let's say you wanted to come onto a training course. You're not going to literally think, oh, I'm going to go on a training course. I'll look at this website and click the buy now button. There will have been a series of verbal and written communication to enable you to build trust and build a relationship with that person. Now, you may never ever have spoken to that person. So let's take your journey right now. Maybe for whatever reason, you came onto my newsletter database. Now, it could be that you've heard me present at the office show or even beyond past that, the Times Cram, or maybe you're connected to one of the PA trainers and you've seen them promote maybe one of my training sessions through Twitter. And so what you did is went to my website, you had a look at my website and found out a little bit more about me. Maybe you signed up for my newsletter and started receiving my newsletters. Then you found out about this particular webinar, so you're now listening to this. So we're not actually speaking yet. Now, it could be that you're really keen to have your complimentary consultation with me afterwards, so you'll have that as well. So it normally takes about 7 to 21 forms of communication, or hits as we call it in the business world. So let me just go through this. So you've seen me present at the office show. You went to my website. You signed up for my newsletter and received the first newsletter. We connected on social media. You received another newsletter. You came onto a webinar. You downloaded, let's say, a free download from my website. You emailed me, we had an email conversation. Then we arranged to have a Skype call. Let's say after those 9 forms of communication or those 9 hits, you then decided, actually, do you know what? I think Calm's the sort of person that can help me to reach my potential in my VA business. Or you might think, actually, yeah, I'm glad I went through that experience. I don't resonate with Carmen, so I'm not going to work with her. It doesn't matter. This is how sales works. Now, in the past, when I first started selling, I put on a bit of an act and, thought, well, I've got to impress people and, I can't let them know that I've only just started out in business. Actually, it doesn't matter if you just start out in business. You've already got years of experience in what you do. You're now transferring it into a different environment. So it is about being authentic. Just be yourself. Because again, I'm going to emphasize the point, people buy people. Okay. So by being yourself and being clear about who it is that is your ideal client and who you work with, it makes the whole sales process really easy. Because when people ask you, what do you do? Instead of saying, oh, well, I can do your diary management for you and I can, manage your database for you, you'll say, well, actually, I work with um, women who are in their mature years, they've got young children, they run a very successful coaching business, and they realize that if they don't start working smartly on their business will not reach the potential and therefore their vision. Something along those lines. But when you're preparing for a meeting or even a Skype call with a prospective client, actually the sales process is helped by you stepping into their mind. Because actually, they might be really scared. No, not scared of you, of course, but they'll be thinking, well, how's this person going to help me? How's it all going to work? How does it work using a VA? I don't understand it. How do I know that what I pay this person, they're going to be good at what they do? How do I know I'm going to achieve what I set out to achieve? How do I know that I can give away control of my business? You know, you've got to really think hard, think clearly. What are their concerns going to be? What are the questions they're going to be asking you? And therefore, you need to be prepared with the answers. It's not going to look good you thinking, oh, I don't really know. Now, of course, there have been, in all my years of business, people have asked me questions and I didn't know the answer. It's been very rare. But because I know inside out what I do, what the benefits are, what results my clients achieve as a result of working with me, and what I do, I know that I can talk about my business. I can sell. Because actually I just talk about the people I work with, the impact it has on their business, and what I do. There's no science around this really. And all I am is myself. I'm just myself. Now, what I do is ask questions that will help people to come to a decision and maybe to also think about where the gaps are. But then it's up to them. I let them go away and think about it. Now, of course, if someone says, oh, I'm not sure, I need to think about it, I do have another set of questions, such as, well, sometimes when people need to think about it, it's because I haven't answered all their questions, or sometimes it's because of money. So therefore, that's when you can start talking about the money side of things. So you need to educate them. As part of you selling, you need to educate. Now, this may not come from just a one meeting. And if someone says no, it doesn't mean no, never. It could be no, not right now. So keep that communication going, still build that relationship. Because if they're reading your blog posts or they hear other people talking about you, they'll think, actually, do you know what? This person really knows what they're doing. And I really want the same results they're helping their other clients to achieve. So keep building that relationship. If you stop, they'll think either you're not interested or maybe you haven't got capacity for any new clients. So keep the conversation going. Step 5, master the art of finance and charge your worth. Okay, this is another area that so many VAs, I don't want to say really get wrong, but they don't start off on a good footing, perhaps is the best way of putting it. Now, I know, having read so many books on marketing, the people who've written those books or even run the courses, they said do research. Research what your competitors are charging and either charge the same or look at where you can be competitive. To be honest, I actually disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with that is that there are still VAs out there that are not charging their worth. They're not charging their worth because they're looking at what other VAs are charging. And if those other VAs are charging a lower amount, then this VA is going to charge a lower amount because they're then worried about competition. Let me tell you, I've got VAs that I've trained that are charging between £30 and £45 an hour. Their business is thriving. Why? Because they see themselves as a partner to their client's business. And when they're going through the whole marketing and sales process, they put themselves across as someone that can help their clients achieve their important goals and their dreams. You are not stating, I charge £30 an hour to do your diary management, because yes, they'll think it's expensive. So you've got to help them understand what their worth is. This is as in the client, where they are draining the resources of their business and what it is they need to achieve. And especially where they're getting frustrated because they're seeing their competitors pass them by and achieving the things they really wanted to achieve. But for them, it's like another year's gone by and they're still no further forward. Why is that? So if someone's worth, £100 an hour plus, well, if they're not working smartly in their business, then their business will fail. So when you're talking about your fees, before you even state what your fees are, by going through this particular model, and of course there's much more to this, of course you understand, but then they get it. They'll think, actually, do you know what? I can't do without you. Now, a really good book I would highly recommend to help you to understand the importance of outsourcing to become a successful business owner is a book called The E-Myth. So it's the letter E dash myth. So the E-Myth Revisited. And it's by a man called Michael Gerber, which is Gerber. It's quite a heavy book to read, and I don't mean as in weight. You really have to be quite focused and no distractions around you. However, it's a very good book to read, and you can always quote from this book when you're talking to people about your charges. So the other thing I want to really say here is that you've got an income you want to achieve, and your income opportunities is not based on how many hours you can exchange for money. You can develop a team of associates and then a passive income. Now, nothing is totally passive, actually, so that's a slight myth. However, by leveraging your time, getting other people to support your clients, developing specialist skills, or bringing on board an associate with a specialist skill, you can actually increase your earning potential quite significantly. Even having strategic partners with your clients or with other people will also significantly increase your income. So you need to be very clear, what is it you want to achieve? And please avoid underselling yourself. Rather than thinking, let's not be greedy and let's just stick to £1,000. Go beyond that, because actually, if you're earning more than that and you only need, let's say, £1,000 anyway, at least then, if something were to happen in your business and you can't work, you've got money in your business account to support you, let's say for 2 or 3 months. And you want to get your business to a point that, let's say you wished to take 2 months away or to work with a client on their project. Well, then by leveraging your business, having associates and other forms of income as part of your business will make that happen for you. It will allow you to make that happen for you. So, and the other thing I want to put across here is, if you don't charge your worth and you put yourself across as cheap because you're just starting out, or even worse than that, you offer your services for free because you're just starting out, I have a real bugbear with that. Please never do that, because you are completely devaluing what you're all about. You are telling people you're not that good and you don't value yourself. And yes, there are, believe it or not, VAs out there charging £15 an hour. I charged £15 an hour in 1999. So how ridiculous now does that sound? You will attract the wrong type of client. You will attract the type of client that doesn't pay you on time, and they'll quibble about everything to do with your invoice. And by the way, when you are working with a client, do make sure you track all your work. So there's a great tool online called Minute Doc. That's Minute and then DOCK, where you can actually track your time. So it helps your client to understand what you're actually doing as part of their investment in you. So do have a look at that. So again, it goes back to the Asda and the Waitrose scenario. When you go to Asda, actually you're not going to be paying very much for a lot of things. Sometimes the quality isn't that great. And then that when you go to Waitrose, yes, you're going to pay a lot more, but you know what you're going to get in return. Not only that, the type of clients you want to attract have to be people that really value and understand investing in a VA. Not someone that just sees you as, the ad hoc admin support and nothing else. Now, of course, if that's what you want, it's fine, but I'm sure that's not the case. So be really clear and think about what you are worth. Okay, oops. So, step 6, raise your profile from networking and strategic alliance partners. So, what's all that about? When people are looking for a VA, as I've just talked about, it's all about relationship building because people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. This is why I mentioned earlier when you're looking at your niche market, look at the people that you've already been working with, look at the industry because you've got the experience, you've got the credibility, and you have the contacts. I cannot tell you how much that is worth to you right now. Even if that's where you just started off with and changed later on, it's a great starting point. I know VAs that I've trained who literally launched their business and skyrocketed it in a very short space of time because they've gone to their contacts. Those contacts know the way they've worked and hence the credibility. Credibility is really important. Now, a lot of people think networking is just about turning up, and if nobody wants your services, then you don't turn up again. Wrong. Networking is about supporting your business community. It's about helping to create awareness and raising your profile about how you work and what you do for your business community. It's looking at opportunities, it's building relationships with people. And the more you build those connections and relationships, they put trust in you. And when that happens, then they'll either work with you themselves or they will refer other business to you. That will not happen by just turning up. And also, when you're networking, you're not there to sell. So, anyone that thinks, oh, I hate the thought of networking because I'm not good at selling myself, well, the great news is you're not going there to sell. In fact, if you did go there to sell, you would put people off and they probably wouldn't want to do business with you anyway. So, all you're doing is you're talking to people about what you do, who you support, and the benefits of those people working with you. And so, therefore, you're just creating awareness and you're educating people. But of course, when you go to a networking event, it's about you supporting others as well. So other people you meet might be looking for connections. There may be that one meeting you go to, someone's looking for a very specific connection, and it happens to be that you can connect them to one of your clients, and a great business opportunity has been created there. Now, networking, look at where your niche market might be networking. So, the Athena Network is one of the best networking groups I've ever had experience with. It's for women only and one person per industry, but there are others out there as well. You've got for networking, also there's online networking. So, if you're working during the day, online networking is great, and so when you're networking, it is ideal to focus on going where you know your niche market or ideal client might be attending. Now, of course, if your ideal client is a mother and she's limited with her time, she might not be going to evening events. However, she may very well go to groups during the day. If she has a toddler, she might go to some of these networking groups which actually allow you to bring your child along, and they might have a little crash there, which most likely they will do. Now, if you go along to a group and you think, oh, there's no one here that's my ideal client, it doesn't matter because you don't know who knows who. And this is where this whole family tree of connections starts to happen. And this is where you can start to find other people that you're connected with who also offer a particular service or product to the type of people you're working with. And this is where you create what's called strategic partners. So they can either work with you, they can either become associates with you, or because they work with the same type of clients, they can help promote you and you can help promote them. You're never allowed to actually share each other's databases because of data protection. However, the more strategic partners you have on board, so all people that serve the same type of clients, you're considerably raising your profile. So networking is something you have to see as a long-term investment. The average will be around £250, and then it might be that the meetings take place in the morning or lunchtime or evening, and for each meeting you attend, there will be a meeting fee. That's not to pay for your lunch or breakfast, it's to attend that meeting. However, you should be making that money back. And that's the focus for you as well. You need to make the time to do it. If you're busy and don't turn up, people think you're not serious about your business and they'll think you're only turning up when you need something. And with quite a few of the groups, you have to have someone else represent you when you can't be there, but they'll have a list of people that can sub for you. So never worry about that. And always be prepared about what you want to say. So the more prepared you are, the more dynamic you'll come across, and the more you'll come across as someone who really knows their business. This comes with practice. However, it's one of those things, you just have to do it, get stuck in and jump at the deep end. And actually, do you know what? I've never been to a networking meeting where I haven't enjoyed it and the people haven't been welcoming. It's always been a great experience, I have to say. And I actually launched my own networking groups years ago. We had 7 groups in total, and everyone absolutely loved it. So, finally, step 7, how to use social media and online marketing to boost your intake of people who want what you offer. So, what it is that? Now, social media and online marketing, in fact, most marketing these days will be free. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Facebook, you can go on LinkedIn, you can have a newsletter system, such as one called MailChimp, and that's MAIL, MailChimp, and it could be free. You can do so much these days, which will cost you nothing or very low cost. So, really, one of the biggest investments will be in the networking. But you can do this online, and this is actually a great way of being able to start raising your profile and making the transition whilst you're still at work. And by the way, just something I want to add there, if you are still at work and you start taking clients on board, this is where working with associates can help you, because your associates can support your clients on your behalf under your business umbrella during the day until then you earn enough money to make that transition. Now, this is something I cover in a lot more detail on the V Master course, but I just wanted to put that idea to you. So, first of all, you need to make the time for it. Social media and online marketing doesn't have to take an awful lot of time. Your online marketing activities could involve a particular process, which is writing a blog post, having a newsletter sent out with the introduction of your blog post and linking them from the newsletter to your blog post, having tweets, LinkedIn updates, and Facebook, all to do with what you've written in that blog post. And what you would write it about will be based on all the things that you've discovered your clients need to stop doing or struggling with, and you're writing about that. And in fact, it doesn't have to be all you. You can actually get other guest bloggers to write for you. And again, they'll be promoting it anyway. And again, you're raising your profile. So again, these could be your strategic partners writing for you. But what you've got to do is to step into the shoes of the person you want to attract. Focus on the people you want to connect with. Where are they going to be hanging out? So, a lot of my clients will be on LinkedIn and they'll also be on Twitter, mostly in the evening or very early in the morning. So, before going to work and when they get back. So, therefore, I will make sure that most of my communication is during that time. And lots of it will go lunchtime as well, because I know my niche market will be looking at their iPhones or iPads on their lunch break because they're doing research. So, therefore, what I write about has to be in keeping with someone who's looking at making the transition and, I suppose, educating them step by step. So, by me communicating with people like yourself through my newsletters, blog posts, and social media on a regular basis, then you're getting to know what I'm about. I'm able to demonstrate my expertise. I'm stepping into your shoes and thinking, right, rather than thinking, what on earth do I write? By stepping into your shoes, I can then start to understand your mindset, what you're going through, what your concerns are, what your challenges are, what you want to achieve, what perhaps there's a gap in your knowledge and tools. And I will write and communicate with you according to that. Now, some people think, oh, should I send out a newsletter weekly? Yes, because what you're doing is you're keeping your business in the forefront of people's minds. Okay. And by doing that, yes, I get people unsubscribe all the time. It doesn't worry me because I'm not making an assumption that that person doesn't like me anymore. It could be just actually, I'm not the person they want to work with, or they've got what they need, and actually, maybe they've even decided not to go down the VA route. It doesn't matter. So I know the people on my database are serious about becoming a VA, and some of them have been with me for even as long as 10 years. And that's fine. It doesn't matter. And I often get comments sent to me saying, really love your newsletters. I really love your reading your blog posts. And, and I do also share on my Facebook page. I use my personal Facebook page for sort of for business. You're not allowed to promote your business on Facebook, but there'll be things I put on there now and again which indicate what I do. But I share things in my personal life. I'll post things up about my 3-year-old son, or my daughter who's in the RAF cadets. So basically, what I'm doing is getting across I'm not just a business owner. I am a human being. I have a family. I have interests. Um, some things I might put up there might be a little bit quirky. So what that does is helps people to connect with me. They help to really get a picture of who I really am. Rather than putting on this facade and, pretending to be someone I'm not. I'm not interested in that. So you have to be proactive with your marketing, and it goes back to what it is you want to achieve in the future with your vision. Without having your vision, you can't possibly create a marketing strategy, because your marketing strategy is the vessel towards reaching your goals, your monthly 90-day goals, annual goals, 5-year goals, and it enables you to really communicate with your target market, but also to get them to buy from you as well. So there has to be a process in place. If you use a scattergun approach, it will not work. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus step 8. So this is about creating an effective action plan to achieve your results. So, creating an effective action plan to achieve results. You've got to make a commitment. This is not something that's a hobby. This is something you've really got to focus on. Now, you may be working at the moment or just in the early stages of your business. It may mean you have to make some sacrifices. It may mean you've had a hard day's work, you come home and you just want to veg in front of the TV. Well, I'm sorry, but your business will not launch by watching EastEnders or Coronation Street. You have to apply yourself. But you know what? When you are really passionate about what you want to achieve and you've got the potential and you know that, you will do what it takes, obviously within reason. Now, I'm not saying work every single night because you'll be knackered. You have to obviously rest and energize yourself. However, when you make the commitment, you get out of your comfort zone and take action, you will start to see results. You have to make sure you've got contingency plans in place. For instance, your computer may crash. Maybe you're still working during the day and you're finding it a challenge to meet with clients. So it's creating a contingency plan around that. Clients ask you to do something and it's not within your skill set. It could be to do with illness or a family distraction or anything like that. When you have a contingency plan in place, and one of those includes having an associate VA, it will help you to save your business. Because when you contract with a client, you are promising a service. And as part of your risk assessment, you must have a backup plan. Having an associate is not about finding enough work to pass on to someone else. They are there as part of your contingency. Right now, this is something I want you to do as an exercise right now, okay? And do give me feedback through Facebook or Twitter, or even if you want to connect with me on Skype. My Skype ID is the VA Expert. And let me know how you're getting on with this. So some of you may have already heard of what's called the SWOT analysis. What I want you to do is draw a box and divide it into 4, hopefully on a big A4 paper. Even an A3 if you can is even better. And the top left-hand corner, put strengths, the top right, opportunities, the bottom left, threats, the bottom right, weaknesses. What I'd like you to do is write down 2 things in each box where it's relevant, relating to that. So for instance, what 2 strengths have you got right now? Well, it could be that actually you've got a very good skill set and years of experience in a particular industry where you know there's a need for VAs. For opportunities, it could be that you've already got contacts because you've been telling people that you know and trust that you are looking at setting up a VA. So there's already people there who are waiting for you to actually launch. The opportunities out there as well are you have access and maybe you've got the funds as well to invest in some training or mentoring to support you. The threats to your business could be that you're still at work, or perhaps you're just making that transition. So your time is limited. So therefore, that is something you need to obviously think about. A weakness could be a lack of confidence, perhaps, and not really having the right tools and knowledge to sell. So therefore, what I want you to do is go to the threat spots. What 2 actions do you need to do to turn things up and around? Because then it will turn the threat into a weakness, because as we all know, weaknesses can be developed into a strength. And those strengths, as we work on those, will turn into an opportunity. So does that make sense? Yes? So what is a current threat to your business right now? It could be that actually you don't have a computer. It could be that you've got a lack of funds. It could be that you live in a rural location and there is nowhere to network locally. So therefore, what can you do to turn this into a weakness or a strength? Well, you can look at developing your social media skills and look at online networking groups, for instance. You can look at LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups to start interacting with people. So think of two things that are not serving you in the threats and weaknesses, two things that are serving you in the strengths and opportunities, and what two actions must you take for each of those four categories to really start to turn things around and create even more opportunities for you. Now, how can I help? Well, I do run VA taster sessions in person from time to time, and that's literally almost like a half-day workshop to go into a lot more detail on what I've covered here. Of course, there's the VA Mastery course, which is CPD accredited, and we also have the VA Marketing Academy. Now, very soon, I will be promoting a 2-day virtual workshop. So I'm just making you aware of this so that you can look out for my newsletters and social media updates to find out a little bit more of that. So just one thing I just want to mention to you. This is all about you. Now, I don't know why you turned up today. I don't know why you're listening to this right now, but you will have your reasons. So think now, what drove you to listen to this evening? What were you looking for? What outcome are you hoping to achieve? Where do you know that there's a gap right now? If this is something you really want to take forward, then stay in touch and look at how we can work together. There is always something that will meet your budget. And in fact, where a lot of people started off is with our VA Marketing Academy. So if you go to vamarketingacademy.com and look at the tab at the top where it says Become a Member, you can join for £1. Now, that £1 gives you access to a whole month of support and training. You get videos, you get modules to read and some action sheets. You also have live Q&A sessions, guest webinar sessions, and a closed forum where you can interact with other people. And also on the forum, I put things up there to get you to take action and things to think about. Now, that £1 actually goes to charity, to the Brain Tumour Charity, because when I talked about my personal situation earlier, my husband had a brain tumour, so that's the charity that we support. The next month from there on, if you wish to join, is £9.97 a month for exactly that I've described every month. And it's a good way just to step in and dip your toe. From time to time, I do run evening mentoring sessions. So if you are at work during the day, please don't worry, you will still get support because I also have my colleagues on board to do that as well. As I said, we run the V Mastery course, which is over 12 weeks, but we are going to be changing the format of the V Mastery training. So our last training session will be on the 15th and 16th of March, and also we'll be running one the week before in London. So, or at the weekend before rather. And this particular format will be the last time we run it in this way. So if you want to really grab the opportunity, I'll be sending out details of a special offer. And that's all I want to say for it right now. All I want to end with is I want you to make the commitment. You know, as I said, you're here for a reason listening to this right now. You may be feeling scared. You may be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm literally jumping off the cliff. However, nobody achieved anything without taking a calculated risk. When you have faith in yourself and you just have that gut feeling this is what you're meant to do, then go with it. Because let's fast forward a few years. Will you be looking back and thinking to yourself, do you know, I really regret not doing anything? As many conversations I've had with many people, life is too short. Look at what you want to start doing now, baby steps. Nothing, you know, you literally can't eat a whole elephant in one go, as the saying goes. It's literally baby steps. So start off with this little exercise with the strengths, opportunities, threats, and weaknesses, and that will help bring things up for you that you know you need to work on. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for the questions that you've asked as well. And please stay in touch on Twitter at VA Training Pro, on Facebook, the Virtual Assistant Coaching Training Company, or connect with me, Carmen MacDougall, on my personal page, and let me know how I can support you.